Little Caesars changed the game, bro.
They did.
Little Caesars changed. That's the most shot of shit.
Hey, Chewy, blood. They want you on the podcast, bro. Look, he Mexican, bro. You gotta put him on.
Am I interrupting your depression? I'm sorry.
This week's episode of The Voice Party is brought to you by Big Boy Raps. Get your car wrapped by some of the most experienced and skilled in the Bay. Big Boy Raps, where the big boys play.
Let's do it. Season 2, episode 3. I know it's 140 episodes, and we just decided this morning to make it season 2.
Excellent.
Because that's what we're all about. We're all about freedom, right? Phil?
Yeah, freedom's my favorite word.
Freedom's your
JD,
favorite
you know
word.
that.
What's up, everybody? Thank you for tuning in to the Voice Party Podcast, sponsored by Big Boy Raps.
Oh, yeah.
And today we're popping a couple of bottles brought to us by Evan L.G. Francis on Season 2, Episode 1.
There you go.
But right now we're Season 2, Episode 3.
3.
It's me, JD, here. How you doing? Hey, follow, subscribe, JD Arandia at the Voice Party. I'm here with, as I mentioned, Phil. What's up, Phil?
America.
That's what's up.
There you go.
America.
There we go. And I'm here next to Joaquin, a.k.a. Black Joaquin. What's up, Black Joaquin?
Hey.
How you doing, bro?
I'm good.
It's been a good day so
Yeah,
far.
it's been a solid day.
Okay, ready for me to intro the guest?
Oh, yes.
Okay, so here's what we like to do at the Voice Party. Right? We are all about connecting with people. Connecting with people, man. This guest is a supporter of the show. And I didn't really know much about him until recently. We just started sharing memes back and forth. Very nice guy, very cool guy. First time meeting him in person. We were supposed to do this last month, but stuff happens, man. Shit happens. People get married, gigs come up. So now I'm just excited to, homie reached out and dude's got a lot of interesting stories to talk about. Please introduce yourself to our listeners.
My name is John Plemmons, otherwise Obi-Wan Kenobi.
Obi-Wan.
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you, Obi-Wan.
Appreciate it, gentlemen.
Yeah, no, I appreciate the support. And you know what? In these fucking trying times, I appreciate memes. Fuck yeah, man. Cheers. Salud. Tell our listeners a little bit about what you do.
So right now I work in pharmaceutical manufacturing equipment down in Los Angeles. I failed to launch my venture, which I'm sure that we will get into.
Yes, that's a very interesting venture to venture into.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so I make tinctures and going to start my massage oil line here pretty quick, as well as expanding into
cannabis infused.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
CBD and CBG. Those are my
CBG.
two. Cannabidiol. So it's a really good anti-inflammatory.
Oh, fuck.
Yeah.
Like people with this is really good. You want to try this?
Sure.
People with like what's it called? Arthritis and stuff like that?
Uh-huh.
Oh,
so
shit.
CBD actually doesn't work for arthritis, but CBG does.
I gotta stop giving it to my dad.
Yeah, dude.
Oh, shit.
It's a miracle.
I didn't know that.
It is.
CBG is the one that you gotta give to people with pain.
Yep.
What's the difference, really?
It's just a little difference in the molecule structure. That's really what it boils down to.
Like one off, kind of?
Pretty much.
What is it, just like it has more THC? Or
No, it's just got a different chemical structure to it. And so there's different functional groups that are attached to the molecule, and it absorbs into the skin in a different way.
Oh, damn.
So
it's something you can rub on. It's not necessarily like a pill form.
Right.
Okay.
You could make it into a pill form, especially with the equipment that I deal with these days.
Yeah. Okay. Shit. See, that's what we're so dumb with weed.
Right.
And there's so many like things you can do with weed that like you Is there another little cheat code you have for us?
Yeah, so like we have the cannabinoids, and then we have the terpenoids, and then we have the flavonoids. And so
sounds like Pokemon. Explain.
Right? Doesn't it?
Sounds like Pokemon.
Like an evolutionary.
Yeah,
concept.
cannabinoid. I choose you. Bah, yeah. So cannabinoids. What
Obviously a plant type Pokemon.
Absolutely.
Bulbasaur's cousin and shit. Yeah.
Right. We'll launch the NFT line here pretty soon.
So
I'll be the first in this.
Hell yeah.
Cannabinoids are the first ones. I've heard of those.
And so that's your THC.
Which our body has receptors for.
Yes.
That's why I don't think we're talking about it in the podcast. I just want to see weed as such a bad thing. Our bodies have receptors for it.
All mammals do, in fact.
Oh shit.
All mammals have an endocannabinoid system, so we are readily able to absorb.
Consume. Not just getting high, just like eating it or whatever. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Or dermally smoking it, whatever.
Oh shit. Okay.
And then the terpenoids are mostly what makes up the smell. So when the bag is really loud, that's what you're actually smelling is the terpenoid content.
Okay, that's okay. I see. Okay. I love the smell of weed more than like taking it.
Yeah.
So that's what it is. Got it.
Yeah. And then the flavonoids are this new, it's like the last frontier that we're going to be able to research. It's so because there's only a little over 100 known cannabinoids in the world, and those are just the ones that we know about. And so we're just starting to expand research into the terpenoids, which like
so you're just starting to turn to the microscope until like 1,000.
Yeah.
So there's more to learn.
There's a lot more to learn.
Fuck.
Yeah.
One plant.
One plant. Yeah.
Holy shit.
Yeah.
Dude.
And there's the fiber type where you can build houses out of it. You can make paper out of it.
They can make ropes and clothes out of it too.
Yeah. And so that's when like if you drive out I-80 going to the East Coast when you're going through Nebraska, like right in the middle, there's all this hemp growing. And so back in the 40s, we needed material for rope. And so the Navy got in touch with all these corn farmers. In Nebraska, and they're like, hey, we need hemp.
Oh shit.
Yeah. And so it's all the leftovers from those plantings that you'll see on either side of I-80. It's so crazy.
What year was this?
It was back in the 40s.
That's
during
when
World War II.
That's when there was like a big weed boom in that time.
There was.
Right? That's where that was that called Reefer Madness stuff. Like after.
And that's the crazy thing is like.
Was that Pineapple Express?
Right.
Remember that?
I remember the marketing campaign for.
No, but that scene in Pineapple Express when they're testing the weed on the guy.
Oh yeah.
They give him the lighter with the fucking
Item number 9.
I feel like a what is it? Butter melting on hot flapjacks.
That's
Seth Rogen and Jimmy Goblin, boy.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so it was so crazy because, the PR campaign was to, talk shit on THC.
Yeah.
But in reality, it was actually Hearst and DuPont that lobbied the government, and then the Federal Bureau of Narcotics was made, and that Drug Act got passed in 1937. And so they're like,
Ever since that's been longer than I thought. That was just the 60s.
Yeah, no, it goes all the way back to the late 30s. So Hearst had all these timber holdings here in California for his newspapers, and then DuPont was about to release nylon. And so they're like, well, hemp is a huge competitor to these things, so we got to get rid of it.
And it had nothing to do with smoking. It was all about this publishing.
All the other
That's
shit.
crazy.
Yep.
Wow.
Yeah.
Good. Was nylon? Is that like synthetic?
It is. It's a plastic.
So all the plastic companies are fuckers, man.
Yeah, dude.
Jeez.
That's dirty handed.
That's even.
It has nothing to do with people's health. They're just like, we just want to bump the other people out of business.
When does it ever though? When does it ever about the people in first? You know. Yeah.
Right. I mean, the French do a pretty good job caring about people's health. Just saying.
Yeah, okay, all right. But that's the stuff I didn't know about when it comes. There needs to be more weed like studies. And not just weed, just drugs in general.
Yeah.
Because if you look at how like cocaine was super embedded in, which is very known.
Yeah.
But so was like everything else. Meth is not new.
No.
Meth isn't new. Like one of the first like I know it goes back to military. I don't know if that's 100%.
Yeah, Benzedrine.
Yeah, yeah.
Yep.
Weren't the Nazis using that too? Like
Yes.
crack?
Uh-huh.
They're using a form of crack?
And so just shoot up the soldiers with that, and then they're ready to go and charge a bunch of Russians or what have you.
Yeah.
Get them all hopped up on uppers, and they're ready to fight.
They're ready to fight for hours. And also steroid use. I didn't realize it was like very, like, I don't know if it started, but it was in the World War II when they would, that's what I heard somewhere, where like the soldiers were all like in POV camps. They would give them steroids so they can like come back and be all, that's crazy.
It is very local.
But going back to the weed stuff, like that, like a lot of that, I've heard the name DuPont, but there's nowhere where you can really hear about this shit. You know?
Right.
Yeah. Wow.
It's really interesting, like, and it goes for all of agriculture, really, where like there's this really dark side that nobody really talks about, like bananas and sugar and coffee, where like, you know, we've overthrown governments just to be able to grow these things in Latin America and all over the world.
NAFTA, right? Like
For slave wages or literal slavery.
Yeah.
Look at the
Hot chocolate, man. I feel guilty every time I enjoy hot chocolate.
It's the white sugar.
Just like
well, that documentary, I'm sure you've seen it, on Cuba about the sugar. And how that fucked up the country there for, like, you know, it could have been a huge not superpower, but economically it could have been. And just, you know, it's big governments take advantage of these little, you know, coffee's a big one. That's like, that's why, like, I respect all these. In Richmond, there's one called Urban Tilth we mentioned, and they teach kids specifically, or anyone really if they want to volunteer, but kids to grow their own food so that they, you know, and there's a lot of those. I didn't realize, like, holy shit, there's a lot of those, so that in case the shit hits the fan and we can't exploit these countries anymore, you know, like we're kind of in that situation right now. Like, how do you grow your own shit, dude? How do you grow?
And there's still a major farming industry in the United States itself. It's just some luxury goods like the sugar, the coffee beans, the cocoa beans. Like, and we could technically survive without those crops. We just like the extra moolah, you know. We like the extra joy of putting sugar in our coffee or our tea.
Like the sugar.
You know, I mean, even vineyards, man. Vineyards is right next door, Napa, man.
That's true. That's true.
You know, so.
And in the way vineyards are, that could be weed. That could be weed. And that could, you know, I mean, if you don't want to smoke it, that's fine. There's, like you said, a ton of shit that we can be producing clothes out of. I've never worn hemp, dude.
Now, if your house accidentally catches on fire and it's made with hemp, well.
Hey, Jimmy's house is burning, man.
Yo,
It is.
Yeah, but like, why don't we know about this shit? That's the big question, like, that I have. You know, why don't we know about this shit? And like,
it's been suppressed. Big time.
Like, out of all the things that have been suppressed, that in particular, like,
big business.
Why do we eat the shit we eat?
Yeah,
like, there's
lobbying.
Lobbying.
That's pretty much it.
Yeah,
being allowed to advertise and say shit like these hamburgers are actually good for you. This is a natural part of this sugary cereal is a great part of a great part of a healthy start to your day, a naturally balanced breakfast or whatever the fuck
pancakes and hella
whatever
syrup.
lie they tell you.
Kellogg.
Cornflakes are the best thing for breakfast according to Kellogg's.
I'm sure.
Yeah,
right.
Fuck.
That's me Lucky Charms.
What piqued your interest in this field? Like,
it was so funny. So
because I feel like you could teach a whole class on this shit, dude.
It's a whole degree.
Yeah.
So I was at this academy in New Mexico in Roswell when I was 20, and I had learned Russian, and I was like, I want to join the CIA.
Holy shit.
Yeah. And so I had started learning Spanish because I started working in the fields in my late teens and everything in Salinas, and then, you know, I just had this intuitive thought where it's like, well, what if I changed my major from political science to plant science instead, because I can't fucking stand how much history I'm taking instead of like actually comparing political ideologies. That's what I thought that I was getting into with political science. It's like, oh, cool, like I get to explore this.
Right.
Like, no, you're going to take a lot of history classes.
Damn, I was in the wrong field when I wanted to be a history teacher.
Right.
I mean, but there's plenty of political movements in history, like for you to base your papers on, I'm sure, right?
Yeah.
But you wanted to know, okay.
It was much more of like the philosophical side, I guess, that I was interested in. I was like, oh, okay, well, this is kind of a letdown. And so, you know, lo and behold, I actually got kicked out of that academy for smoking weed.
The CIA kicked you out for weed.
Bye-bye.
So much for Langley.
Wait. So we weren't far off on that the Pineapple Express. What is it? Eliminated. What was it? No,
Right.
Illegal. That was you.
Oh my goodness. Do you speak any Russian? Did you learn pick up?
Я могу говорить немножко. Еще.
This is a 007 movie on weed.
It comes in handy when you least expect it.
Holy shit, dude.
Yeah.
That is awesome.
And so I was like, well,
So you were in the runnings to be in the CIA?
That's really what I wanted to do, yeah.
Okay, that's what you wanted to do.
And so I, you know, I get kicked out and I come back and I trimmed for the first time in Santa Cruz, in Felton more specifically. Yeah, it was 2011.
What's your time?
Oh, it was slow.
Okay.
Get some cocaine into the mix.
Oh shit. Okay.
Yeah, we were all young ones.
In Felton, you're doing
I was snipping. So I asked the guy, I was like, well, can I take half cash and half stash as payment? And he was like, yeah, sure. And so I took half trim and a couple $100 for the work that I had done. And my aunt, who had gone to Cordon Bleu specifically for pastries, was living with us in Salinas at my parents' house. And so I was like, hey, Auntie, how do I make gourmet brownies?
Nice.
Did you just sell the brownies?
Fuck yeah, that's how I got my start. And the rest is history.
How old were you?
I was 20.
20.
Yeah.
Damn. You left the CIA for weed. That is
left the academy for weed.
That is a powerful plan, my friend.
I appreciate it.
He ain't leave the CIA. The CIA left him.
Yes.
That was their mistake.
Imagine if you would have
letting this bright young man go. That's crazy.
You're saving the world in a different way.
I'm very glad that I did not go down that career track.
Because you probably could have.
Yeah, like I mean, I was really good with the Russian. There's a test called the Defense Language Proficiency Test. I had been tutored for years leading up to that point. Like, whenever my tutor would have calls with her daughter, like I could understand everything and like watch the news and be able to translate on the fly and everything. And you know, the thought was like, well, I'm going to change my major to plant science. I'm going to go back to California, and then I'm just going to jump right in. And this is, you know, 5 years before the rec market happened. This is still medical 215 back in the day. Yeah.
Holy shit.
Time flies.
You don't mind me asking how old you are now?
31.
31. Okay, so that wasn't that. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, no.
Just dove in head first.
Had you like, well, you hadn't talked to, you know, to get into the CIA, like you knew the steps?
Yeah. I knew, you know, and there's 16 other agencies out there in the intelligence community, and like I still considered it. And
NSA,
FBI.
FBI.
Well, they're under the Department of Justice, but the like the Defense Geospatial Agency and the Defense Intelligence Agency, and like all these, it's the alphabet soup.
Avengers,
right?
Shields,
exactly.
But everyone's really Hydra anyway, so it doesn't fucking matter.
Right.
Oh damn! This is that is crazy, dude.
Yeah.
That is. I never even talked. I've had a run-in with an FBI agent, and I was nervous the entire time because I was high, and I was thinking, they killed Martin Luther King. Right. That was in my head, you know.
Yeah. I mean, they for real they did, but yeah, like
so that was like what I was thinking when I was like, You know, so
you're braver than me, man. I couldn't do the secret agent thing.
Yeah.
Because I'd be too busy worried that there'd be some sort of misunderstanding and then I'd get shot in the head by one of my own, like, blam, I found the mole. It was like, it was one text. And it was
I was kidding.
And it was joking. Just trying to get the Russian agent to suck my dick, that's all. That's all. I wasn't going to give her anything.
I'm a man at the end of the day.
And you shot me in the back of the head.
Have you ever traveled to Russia?
Not yet.
Do you think you can get by with your Russian?
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, I've lost a lot of it because I became fluent in Spanish, and like, you know, I'd have to come up here to the Richmond district if I wanted to be like in a full Russian immersion environment. And so 2 hours.
They do have a lot
hard.
of Russian. Yeah.
In the outer Richmond, yeah.
They have like restaurants and stuff.
All the grocery stores and everything. So it was like my only opporpeity to really practice it outside tutoring.
Salinas is like quien sabe, guys.
Exactly.
Singing cumbia and shit.
Ya sabes.
Yeah. So, but and your Spanish is down pretty good too. So you would have been great as a. You could have
As
went
an agent,
anywhere.
yeah. And it's just like I'm gonna go private instead.
So you also worked in the fields.
Yeah. Yeah. I never thought that I would get the opportunity to, and then a bunch of my friends from high school, there's an incubator in Chular just south of Salinas.
Yeah.
And so you can start your own small farm, and then you just build it up for as long as possible, or as long as it takes, and then you can leave and get a bunch of acreage somewhere else.
What to grow, like food?
Yeah, vegetables
okay, not
and
for weed,
berries.
not just weed.
Yeah, not weed.
Okay.
Yep. Maybe one day.
I mean, I'm pretty sure you were the only white guy in that.
Yep,
in that
pretty much.
field. 'Cause you don't hear that.
No.
Holy
no
shit.
way. Yep. Like,
You're rare.
Yeah.
You're rare.
Unicornio.
Yeah. How was that for you working in the field?
It was great.
Yeah.
It was so much fun.
Everyone else is like an immigrant.
Yeah, and then once I actually, so I moved up to the mountains, and I hadn't had a break from drugs and alcohol for a couple of years, at least at that point, and I had a psychotic break, and I ended up back down here, and started school and everything, and I got this internship as a food safety intern at it was a green onion and leek processing house in Salinas, and it was very much the same thing. It was so much fun.
Oh, I bet.
It was so much fun. Like, it was just long hours for shit money, but like you have a great crew of people, and like it's just, I'm really grateful to have grown up in Salinas because I got to grow up in like a really rich culture.
Right.
Yeah.
Which is still thriving even more now.
It still is. Yeah. Because
like
it's so much safer now.
Yeah, exactly. And there's a lot of like, great artists coming out of there. Filmmakers, musicians, as we've had on the show. Yeah. That is, I've been in a similar situation where, and I'm sure you got this working in that field, where I was working with, immigrants doing landscaping for a while.
Yeah.
I had a stint where I worked just very little bit. And I was there. I was only one with citizenship. They're like, what the fuck are you doing? Right. That's what I would get from those.
Yeah.
What are you doing here, dog? Go get out. You can do anything else.
Oh, yeah.
Anything else. Like, and I'm like, geez, thanks for the confidence boost, homie.
Right. Yep.
I guess I can do whatever.
It's
I'm
real,
sure
man.
you got that.
Oh, yeah. Especially, like, I hadn't really experienced it until I was living in Phoenix after I graduated from the Cal Poly in LA, Cal Poly Pomona. Yeah. And so I'm working at this wholesale nursery. I was just like, holy shit, like, these guys kind of hate me. Just like, what did I do? Like, I know everything about your culture, and I love all you guys, but
I love birria.
Sign me up, especially when it's goat. Give me that real.
That's how you know it's a real shit. Yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah. So that's what you're doing now. Like, you learn, use everything you learn to how long were you maintaining your own crops as far as cannabis?
I did not finish that first season, and then I grew a celebratory seed crop, actually, right as soon as rec passed. I was like, I'm putting plants in the backyard.
What was that? When Trump was elected, right?
It was 2017. That would have been. And
2016, but it went
right.
in. Yeah.
It took effect at 1/1/17, if I remember correctly. Yeah.
That was a trade-off. Like, but we get weed. So then you did your celebratory.
Yep.
Okay.
And got a bunch of great genetics, and then I've just kind of taken it with me since then. And I worked at a really big CBD hemp farm because hemp got federally legalized in 2018. I graduated at the end of 2018, and then 2019 I was the lead grower for a huge farm out in the desert outside of Las Vegas. It was almost 400 acres. Yeah. It's a sight to see.
Holy shit. How is the weed there though? Like, cause it's in the desert. Isn't like the best climate for weed here?
It is. Yeah. Like it likes that humidity and everything.
Yeah.
And so it was really
moisture.
Interesting. And so.
See, I know a little bit about weed.
Yeah. It's the indicas that really like the high elevation, and they don't mind not having a lot of humidity, but the sativa, which like that was the majority of our genetics that we were running, it was hard, especially in shit soil, and like the water was okay, but the pH was really high.
Oh yeah, which is the most important thing.
Yeah.
You know about sativa and indica?
No, I don't.
So that's just for our listeners, and
I know they're in varieties of weed, but I don't know.
Those are really
what the differences
the two
are.
options, right? So sativa is you probably can explain this better than me. But,
It's all good.
sativa is it's I guess you could say like it's more of an upper, right?
Correct.
Where people do that to be creative and draw and write and whatever. Indica is more, I would say, more for people with pain.
Yeah.
If you want to kind of just go like
veg out
in the couch and watch the cartoons or whatever.
Yep.
Watch
Couch
Fantasia.
luck. Exactly.
Yeah. I was more of an indica.
Likewise.
Sativa would make me too anxious. I'd be like, hey man, that guy's looking at me strange over there. Like that's a trash can. That literally happened to me once. I was because sativa just with my anxiety would be horrible.
Basically, it's what those hits blunt memes are all about.
Yeah.
Where they hits the blunt and then they come up with something they think is philosophical, right?
Yep. That's sativa. That's sativa talking. Yeah. So sativa is more like what, the more moisture is better for it?
Because it's from Central Africa. So it's from the straight jungle. So in places like Hawaii it does amazing.
Maui Wowie.
Yeah. 17 feet tall. It takes like 4 months to grow out completely.
A shitload of time to trim.
Yeah.
and then indica is more like Afghanistan.
All the actual
Middle East.
Hindu Kush mountains.
Kush mountains, yep. That's where it comes from, huh?
Pakistan, India, Afghanistan, all that area. Yeah, it's bushy.
Have you ever gotten your hands on like, I don't even know if this is a thing, but like I wouldn't say ancient, but like seeds from like descendants of like, is that even a thing?
So
I know that sounds tricky.
Not me personally, but there was a professor that I met from one of the CSUs, and he went to Vietnam.
Oh shit!
Yeah, and so he was telling my buddy and I, who was also a grower, he was like, "Hey man, like I have all these crazy genetics from like Thailand and Laos and Cambodia when I was deployed back in the '60s."
Fuck.
Yeah.
Oh shit!
And just brought him back inside of his bag, and he still has them, and they're good forever. Like if they don't pop, like there are ways you can just put hormones on the seeds and then they'll actually pop. It's just a really high likelihood that it won't go through, and so it's best to do it in like a super controlled lab setting where you can control all the parameters.
Best not do that outside.
Yeah.
Especially if they've been around since the 60s.
Yeah.
That's probably, I mean, in the Middle East, they probably got some shit that's older, but like.
Guaranteed.
Yeah.
Guaranteed.
Like, that's what I always wondered. I always wondered, like, right now with cannabis, like, yeah, it's awesome that we're legal, but I'm sure there's a lot of chemicals involved, right?
Yep. And that's,
smoke.
It's really unfortunate.
Yeah.
Like, we have systemic insecticides is like my biggest qualm, is that like you can find a dirty lab that will show that you passed for something like carbofuran, which is highly illegal in the United States.
Oh damn.
Like you have to bring it across the fence from TJ. And it works really well, but it's super fucking toxic.
What does it do to you?
It'll destroy your insides basically. Like it's gonna do pretty much the same thing that it does to the bug. Like it turns the insides of the bugs into mush, and if you were to do that over a really long period, that's pretty much the same thing that'll happen to you.
Damn.
Yeah.
Is there signs that you can look for if you're buying weed that may have that?
Not really. It just has to.
That's what's scary about weed.
Exactly. Yeah, and that's a huge thing that people have a qualm with collectively these days. Is like, well, where's the quality control? It's just like, well, you gotta have honest labs.
This is why we can't.
You gotta depend on honesty.
As long as they're not passing through El Gordo Mamon's lab, it'll probably be all right. You feel me?
Dang. That is crazy.
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
And how would you say that is common to see that shit?
Yeah.
Fuck.
Yeah.
That's probably why a lot of bad trips, huh?
Yeah. And I wonder for myself, like that psychotic break that I had, it's just like, well, I don't know what fertilizers they were using. I don't know if they had systemic insecticides or some other type of terrible pesticide that they were spraying the weed with. You know,
You never know.
Yeah. Because heavy metals will make you go insane if you ingest them. Yeah.
And there's heavy metals in baby food and shit.
Right. Yeah.
That's fucked up.
And now we're on the microplastics.
Which are a little bit better on the body.
Right. We'll see.
That's what the chips are. It wasn't the vaccine. It's the
little bit of mercury in the fish makes everything clear.
That is
I see now. No.
Yeah.
Now, I remember years ago there was a little dispensary that this organization that I was working with, it was a college club. We were trying to do some hip hop shows, some album release parties in it. And the first time I ever saw a menu, because the dispensary, we were going to do the shows there.
Yeah.
And there's a menu for all the different weeds. I was like, Pineapple Express, Blueberry Dream, Jamaican Red. Like how do you make the varieties?
You have to just breed them. So cannabis, like many other plants, is called monoecious. So there's a male plant and a female plant.
Right.
And so you'll have a male of a certain strain, and then you'll have a female of a different strain, and then you just cross. And so over time,
and then the baby, literally the baby.
Literally. Plant sex at its finest.
That is a dope thing I've seen when I used to smoke a lot. One of my first strains that I had in high school was green crack. Yeah. And everyone used to, man, this green crack is a shit, dog. And then the other strain that I loved after high school was Blue Dream. And then
that was an indica.
That
sativa.
Was a sativa. But I enjoyed it. I enjoyed it for some reason. But then, fucking. This is 2015. One of my homies is like, this is green crack, dog. Blue Dream and green crack mixed together. I was like watching The Godfather 1, The Godfather 2, and then The Godfather 3, except this one, the third part was not disappointing. It was the best one out of all.
You were super high. Okay.
Not even super high.
I mean, you enjoyed the third one.
Dude, it was.
You had to have been super high.
Everything was amazing. That was the one.
Even Sofia Coppola?
Yeah.
You bullshit. Okay, yeah, you were hella high.
I remember just being the most stoned, enjoying watching Pacific Rim. This movie deserves an Academy Award.
Naturally.
Oh my gosh.
That was the green crack, bro.
And I love that you mentioned Blueberry Dream, Joaquin, because that is the only time that I've full on hallucinated off of weed.
Yeah, I've had that too. And it was Gorilla Glue was the one that did it to me.
Yeah,
that shit was
super underrated.
So what makes you hallucinate, the sativas or the indicas?
I actually don't know
in my experience, I think the sativa is more than anything.
Yeah, because and that's the thing about
indica's body high,
right? And our bodies, nobody metabolizes any compound in the same way. Even you from your parents, it's going to have a different effect.
Yep.
And
not everyone has that. Sativa makes me more creative.
Right.
It's all different.
Yep. And there's people out there that are like, oh yeah, edibles don't do anything for me. I'm like, what? Yeah. You just got a bunk batch, bro.
Those are also serial killers.
They just they just sold you normal gummy bears. I'm sorry.
Right.
You might want your money back. You paid $50
But
for
I have
normal
seen that.
size bag
I know people that like
of gold.
Right.
just that they smoke weed and
Harper's.
it seems like it does a different effect to them than it would to you.
Yeah.
Like you can drive right now.
And, like the way to really hallucinate off of weed is to actually eat it.
Eat it.
And I was so perplexed. Like my neighbor told me, he was like up in the mountains. He was like, "Oh, dude, the hardest I've ever tripped is off of fucking hash brownies, dude. Like I've done DMT, I've done acid, I've done fucking mushrooms, and nothing comes close to fucking hash brownies." And then I thought he was full of shit for the longest time. And then I did like a gram down my throat, and I was like,
"Oh fuck,
we're going to space.
Yeah,
this is actually happening."
Lift off.
Well, would you say though that dabbing is the most strongest, potent form of more than edibles?
Well, and that's the thing about
though, huh?
it is because the edibles, it metabolizes to another metabolite. So the hallucinations are caused by 11-hydroxy-THC is what the THC metabolizes to in our stomachs, and then that goes out into our bloodstream and up to our brain.
Yeah,
Zooted
for a while.
Yeah.
Cancel all your plans.
Yes, very much so.
I had an experience with edibles where I had a whole bunch of things planned and I called things off from like 2 days after because I was like, no, I couldn't even move.
Yep.
I was like, am I breathing right now? Like, yes. It doesn't seem like I am. No, you are.
I need to learn how to breathe again.
Yeah. Like I was doing that. I was like, this isn't natural,
Just
man.
to make sure.
I need an exorcism. Call a priest.
Right. Bring the holy water.
Bring the holy water. I'm not. You love me. Yeah. That's what is the body doing when you eat an edible, as opposed to smoking it?
It's just it's processing it through your stomach instead of through your lungs, and so it would be the same way if you had like a patch with 1,000 milligrams of THC. It would still have to go through all the same rigmarole. Yeah. The same processing.
It's a little stronger then.
Yeah.
Because the lungs can only do so much.
Right.
Yeah. Lungs are filtering out.
Yeah. And then because the reason it's funny you say the patch. I saw a dude wearing a patch. I don't know how much it had, and then dabbing.
Yeah.
And that's when I'm like, whoa, this guy's mastered weed. It's like, what was that? Yeah. He bends all the elements. Like that is some me, dude. I took a hit. The last time I smoked weed, or you were there. Yes. I took one hit and I felt like, oh shit, in my chest. Shit. And I was like, that's it. No more.
Yep.
Yeah. So like that's one of those things about like there hasn't, is it a myth? There hasn't been any deaths with weed?
Not recorded.
Right.
Because like when they did all the tests that, yep, exactly. Oh, it's so bad. Like I can't remember how many joints worth, proportionately speaking. They did it on rats and mice. And so
as you do.
It's a whole different.
It was like thousands of joints worth of smoke. So they really just suffocated.
Yeah.
And so they're like, oh, it killed all of them. Illegal.
That's what happens when you fill a room full of nothing but smoke, like
CO2, carbon monoxide.
You close up the only airway and pump mustard gas, and of course everyone's gonna die.
Yep. 100%.
That's how those first tests were done.
Yeah. And that's what they based all of their findings off of was these tests on mice.
So would you call yourself in a way like an independent agricultural scientist?
Yeah, because like I'm not.
There's no degree.
Right. Well, and that's the thing is like my degree is in plant science, and so to be considered an agronomist, I would have to go and like take all these tests and get licensed from the state and stuff. So like legally I'm a plant scientist. Yeah. And there's a lot of red tape as far as like what I can do for growers and what I can't legally do for growers.
You can't recommend stuff?
That's exactly it. Like I can't recommend. I can diagnose and I can recommend biopesticides, but anything that's controlled that you have to have, a pesticide license to be able to buy and all this stuff. Like what I have to do is, you didn't hear this from me, but
hey, I don't know if you have diabetes, but these are all the medicines I think you should take.
Opens trench coat. got your insulin, got your patch.
I heard insulin was good for it, and you take this.
I don't know.
But I don't know.
But I don't know.
That's basically what you can do with
Farmers, yeah.
Okay.
Legally.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah. And then fertilizers is pretty easy. Like, there's not too much.
I want to get into the living in the border.
Yeah.
Because we were talking off camera about that,
yeah.
and I was like, holy
shit.
So you live in the border right now?
I live in LA now.
You live in LA now, but you were living in the border.
I was, yeah.
Okay.
I moved straight from Chino to Yuma. And then I lived in Phoenix after that, and then I moved back to the border a couple years later.
What city in the border was it?
I was in Tucson when I got raided. Yeah.
So you got raided by the feds.
It was a multi-agency task force.
All of them. All the ones you're...
Yeah.
Yeah. You still want to work...
You applied for.
Exactly.
Awkward.
They just looked at the application like, remember them? Remember him?
Right. There he is. Go get him.
So you got raided by multiple agencies.
Weren't we classmates?
Right. Oh, hey,
How have you been? It's good to see you. No, remember, I'm Smith. Remember? I sat three rows down from you.
Hey, remember when you don't let me have lunch with you, puto?
Exactly.
So, what was it lead up to that?
Well, like I was living in Lake County, right outside Clear Lake, and
Here, Clear Lake.
yes,
Okay.
yeah, in 707.
Fuck, the word travel.
Yeah, dude. Oh boy, there's a lot of meth there.
Oh yeah,
There's a considerable amount of meth, and so
Breaking Bad.
Yep.
And all over the place.
Exactly. And so I wanted to move back to Yuma. I got my first investor for my brand, and then I could not get a place in Yuma. And so I was like, well, Phoenix is a little expensive. And I ended up going and looking in Tucson instead.
Yeah.
And so what I was doing, I would commute back up here and work in Humboldt, and then I had my little oasis down in the desert.
Sweet and Humboldt.
Yes, sir. Best in the United States.
You had an oasis?
My apartment in Tucson.
Okay.
And so, like, I wasn't doing anything illegal at all at my apartment in Tucson. And but I would go down to Nogales a lot, like even just to eat. Like I would do the exact same thing that I would do when I was living in Yuma.
Nogales is still California, right?
Arizona.
Okay.
And then there's Nogales, Sonora on the other side of the border.
Yeah.
And so I'd go down,
dangerous,
eat, hang out. It's not bad.
No? Okay.
Yeah, it's. TJ is a lot worse, and like San Luis these days is a lot worse.
San Luis?
Yeah. Wow. Yeah. It's not good. It's really crazy the things that the way that things are going right now down there.
Yeah.
And I love talking to the taxi drivers.
Yeah.
Like if I'm in Mexico or some other country, like taxi drivers and restaurant workers always
tell you all the tea.
Yep.
All the tea. Yeah, that makes sense.
Absolutely. And so they would all tell me the same thing. Like, oh man, it's so chill here. Es muy tranquilo aquí. I'm like, okay, cool. Like, I'm gonna hang out. And so when you're going back north, though, there's the checkpoints. And so, my truck is registered in Nevada. Mm-hmm. And so I'm guaranteed that eventually, over time, multiple times,
why is this fool coming down here so much?
Yeah, especially when the truck is registered right outside Las Vegas, and Vegas, of course, as we all know, is a drug hotbed,
hub for a lot of criminals.
Anything you want
at any time of the day.
Just walk down the strip.
Yep.
And so,
want a new spleen?
Exactly. Got you, bro.
Yep.
And lo and behold, like I'm just doing my thing. I'm coming back up here, work for a while, go back down there, hang out, get out of the darkness. It's so fucking cold in Humboldt in the wintertime. I learned my lesson when I first lived there.
Oh, I bet. Yeah.
Very depressing. Yeah. Very, very depressing above southern Humboldt where the sun stops. And so my car got broken into.
Wow.
Yeah. And so I was entirely too trusting of my side of town, basically, is what it really boils down to. Like, I lived in the barrio in Yuma, heard gunshots all the time, like, and I was in a pretty nice part of Tucson. As it turns out,
there's a nice part of Tucson.
Right, yeah, exactly. Like Bakersfield.
Yeah, exactly.
Yep.
All the videos I've seen in Tucson, there's a nice side of that.
Right.
Yeah.
And yeah, like, I guess even like the wealthy parts, people's cars get broken into all the time.
The Soch and the greasers.
Yep. And so, like, my
Pony Boy broke into your car.
Right.
Pony Boy.
Exactly. One of my guns got stolen.
Oh shit.
And I had my camera and a bunch of my seeds too. I'm just like, well, I haven't, like, nothing has happened out of like the 6 months that I've been living here. So like I was slipping.
Yeah.
And so lo and behold, you know, my keys, all of my keys, like for my storage unit and everything, were on my front seat, and those got taken as well. I'm just like, oh fuck. So I called the property management company, and I'm like, thinking that it's like California where you just call the landlord of the property management company, like, hey, can you come and replace my locks? Like, yeah, no problem. They're like, yeah, we could, but like, you have to pay for it. I'm like, what the fuck? And so I left. I got very spooked. I took a bunch of the hemp that I had and came back up here, and then I get this random phone call from a police officer, and he's like, hey, there was somebody in your carport parked in this random car. I'm like, okay. Like, the property management company said that they might come by, but not at like 10 o'clock at night.
Shit.
Yeah. And so they had keys to the unit. They went in, including the cop, and I had all of my hemp in there, and so they thought that they had this huge bust.
Oh fuck.
Because by looking at it, you can't tell the difference.
Yeah.
At all.
Yeah, there's no difference.
It's sativa.
Yeah.
It's just been bred to have CBD be the dominant chemical in it.
Yeah, so they'll sell you a bag of the cannabis store, like it looks like weed, but it's all CBD. So when you smoke it, it's like CBD. Yeah.
Or you spray it down with Delta 8 THC, which you make it from CBD isolate, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
And so
they thought they had a fucking score.
Yeah. They're like, oh my God, fucking 700 pounds.
We found him, ladies and gentlemen. We found him. Exactly. You're Bin Laden at that town.
Yep.
We found him. Ladies and gentlemen, we got him.
Saddam life.
You had a beard, missing hair.
Exactly. Disheveled. And meanwhile, like, I'm up in my buddy's place in Humboldt, and then the narc calls me, and he's like, hey, what's all this stuff, this and that, and one of the it's
like your mom. It's like your mom got something to explain there.
Oh, exactly,
Johnny boy.
I found this under your bed.
What are you doing in my spot?
Right.
You have a warrant, mother?
And that's exactly it. One of the last questions he asked me was, oh yeah, by the way, did that officer ask you for permission to go into your unit? And I was like, no. He's like, well, here's this number that you're going to call in about a week and a half, and we'll be in touch. Have a good night. I'm like,
shit.
Great. And then lo and behold, he calls me back a couple weeks later while I'm still up here, and he's like, we took all your hemp, or what you say is hemp. I'm just like, you fucking bastard.
You smoked it, didn't you?
Oh, exactly.
You crooked fucks.
If you want it back, it's going to be $7,500.
Right.
And a burrito if you're in the way. Like my weed dealer I talked about earlier. Yeah. Well, so what did how that week went by and what happened?
Nothing. I was like, you guys can test it. Like, I fucking told you guys, like, it's legal.
They're testing it.
Exactly.
Oh yeah, this is
Item
CBD.
number 9. I'm not high at all. My body pain is surprisingly.
Arrest him.
Right. Hook him and book him. And so, and yeah. They confiscated everything. They're like, well, we're gonna let you know what the lab says. I'm just like, fuck.
Killed all our rats, homie. All our rats are dead.
Yeah. You're done. Going away
We
for
locked
a
the
long
racks in a
time.
box, pumped it full of the stuff, and then closed the lid. They all died.
After we get done with this
No
mice,
vents.
after we get done with this mice funeral, you're fucking done, homie.
This is for Chester and Mickey, you bastard, you monster. Chucky, Chester, and Mickey.
Oh, so what happened? Like, they just took your weed away?
Yeah, they took all the hemp and
You didn't do time in jail or anything?
Nope. Like
They just jacked your shit. They did what gangs do to other gangs.
That's exactly.
Jack your shit.
They're just a gang with badges, especially there. It's the
Especially
border.
for weed, dude. Come on.
It was so fucking crazy. Like, Tucson is the only place where I've ever seen police helicopters fly like the way that they do in like
War?
Iraq. Yeah. Like full on just
Nighttime? Nighttime.
Yeah,
you're not
like
supposed
Black
to,
Hawk Down shit.
You're,
I'm like,
you're not supposed to like.
fuck, dude.
I know they did that in Standing Rock where they fly over cities without lights. And
Yeah.
it's only in wartime shit.
It was so like super fast. Like
That's what when you said Tucson has a nice side. Like,
right. Yeah. Exactly. Dude. Right. Precisely.
It's where the socias live. And was that the Outsiders?
Yes, yes.
That was Tucson.
Yo.
Wow. So that, man, like living in the border, like we talked about earlier.
Yeah.
You saw some crazy shit then.
Yeah. Like when I was leaving Yuma, the last thing before I moved up to Phoenix to work at that nursery, the last thing that I did was just sit and watch the riverbank.
Fuck.
And sure as shit, like I see one truck coming by with the spotlight looking over into the river. Like there's just fields everywhere. It's all lettuce. Wintertime switch from Salinas, Santa Maria, and Oxnard down to Yuma, and vice versa for the rest of the year. And so,
like in No Country for Old Men.
right, yeah.
The truck first pulls up.
And then like all of a sudden there's like 6 more of them coming down like full speed. And
The guy that scopes it out.
well, it was the Border Patrol.
Oh shit.
Yeah. And
Border Patrol?
Yeah, and so they caught, it was probably part of the caravan. And like that was hands down the craziest thing, was like, this shit is national news. And I'm like, I'm going across just to go and eat tacos and hang out with my friends, and like there's full on fucking tents all up and down the fence in San Luis. And like I had finals, so I wasn't able to go down and see the actual caravan in TJ, but I did see the aftermath of it.
How was it?
It was pretty intense, man.
Yeah.
And like the violence had surged allegedly.
There was like a riot.
Yeah, there were huge protests and stuff, and you know.
Did you ever watch that guy Ed Calderon?
Yes.
Was it like the stuff he said true, where they supposedly like the right wing Mexicans in Tijuana like went to go and
guaranteed? Yeah. It's such a circus down there, especially politically speaking. It's funny because like there's a lot that he doesn't talk about. Like he's a very high level security consultant, which bless his heart, like he's living the American dream. Yeah. But like, we have panga boats that hit our coastline like a lot,
from like
with fentanyl and meth and coke and shit
from like
from Mexico. Yeah. And it's from like Big Sur all the way up Santa Cruz, even farther up as far south as like Oxnard.
Are those manned or like they're
usually unmanned? Yeah.
Oh damn.
Yep. And
so like the stuff that gets through the border is mostly just people wanting to come over here. Because the drugs, there's no way in hell there's still. I'm sure there's some.
Right.
But that makes more sense. An unmanned boat.
Yeah, where you can fit so much more, I'm sure, than in an SUV.
Oh fuck. Especially an unmanned boat, probably the size of this fucking warehouse.
Oh yeah, probably go clean across. And
it just
this is completely full.
Tag it as Lionel. Was that Lionel rope?
Right. Yep. Exactly. Brought to you by
nylon.
DuPont.
Nylon. What, DuPont? Dang, that's true. That he didn't. I've heard a lot of his things that he talks about. It's a lot of his like, it sounds like fear mongering.
Yeah. Yeah.
Which he's like, I guess he lived that life. I'm not bashing it.
Like
I'm not bashing it, but like there's some stuff that seems like it's left out.
It's the omissions that is. It's just like, come on, dude. But
and it could be out of fear.
Right. Yeah. Totally.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Like, I don't know. I've received death threats before.
Have you?
I'm still here. Yeah.
From like
people, bad people.
Yeah.
Just like, and that was the funny part about Tucson too. Actually, it was like I moved down, and then one of the movers actually reached back out to me. He's like, "Hey, would you want to be a consultant on a grow?" And
across the border?
No, it was like damn close to the border. The place called 3 Points, Arizona.
I've heard of that. That would be scary.
Yeah,
because if you're that close to the border, cutting into their shit.
Well, and there's the fucking checkpoint, like you go through the checkpoint and then you turned to get out to where they wanted to put in this weed farm.
Damn.
Yeah.
Fuck that.
And it's like, dude, no way.
Get decapitated after your first grow.
Yep. And I'm sure the same thing in Southern California. Like I'd much rather not find out. But
what would you say cut off? Bakersfield?
Right. I mean, even farther north, like even Monterey County, Tulare County, Mariposa, Fresno,
Salinas.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I figured Salinas has got to have the best shit since they grow so much. They grow everything else.
Yeah.
Almost everything that's grown in the grocery store is growing. That they have in the grocery store is grown in Salinas.
Yeah. Yeah, from I saw it in New York, saw it in Miami. Like that was always my favorite part about traveling when I was growing up. It was just like, oh, cool! It came from Salinas, it came from Watsonville, it came from Pajaro. Like jam, lettuce, prepackaged salads, berries.
Ken Sabe's albums.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, that's. So right now, what do you like? Okay, the border sounds like too wild to.
It's insane, dude.
Because I'm a big fan of this band, the Mars Volta. And they're from El Paso.
Yeah.
And they share stories. The lead singer used to sell cocaine in El Paso.
Yeah.
And he shares stories about getting death threats from. I mean, you're at the fucking border.
Yeah.
Right next to El Paso is
Juarez.
One of the most dangerous parts in the,
especially back in the day.
Especially back in the days, it was number 2 as far as like crime, and the number 1 was like Afghanistan because of the war during the time.
Right. Yeah.
That's how fucked up Juarez was.
Yeah.
So he was talking about in the interview how he get threats from all those like rich cartel guys across the border.
Yeah.
So I would just
Well, go on. Sorry.
For me, that would be the scariest, doing shit right at the border, because it seems like there's already so much activity in the border.
Now, correct me if I'm wrong, but if it's something like Coke, for example, your supplier is from across that way, right? Assumedly, or no?
Yes, but then
so you'd have some support.
They have their dealers over here too,
right?
You know, they have their dealers over here too. And then there's like multiple people. There's a hella cartels.
Well, right. So, but I guess what I'm saying is, if your supplier is from across the border, and you're from somebody over there should have your back in theory.
It's like McDonald's.
If you mess with him, you mess with me.
It's like McDonald's and Burger King.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah. But you still have some backup. Some backup.
But like McDonald's is all franchise. Your other McDonald's ain't gonna protect you.
Oh, that's fucked
independently
up.
owned.
Independently owned. We don't have McFlurries here. Sorry, like we got the light. We don't have McFlurries in this McDonald's. Sorry. Yeah, we're almost at the end.
Oh shit. Okay.
Yeah. So I just wanted to well, first of all, I want to thank you for coming out.
Of course,
man.
absolutely.
I always appreciate when I talk to. I don't know if you listened to a couple episodes already.
Yeah.
Cool, man. Thank you.
Yeah.
What is your future looking like for, what is it that you want to come back to do, or how do I say this? What's the future for you looking like in this field?
I might leave the United States, actually.
What the fuck?
Yeah. I might just say peace out and go Uruguay.
Wow.
Guns are legal. I'll be safe.
Shit.
Yeah.
That's going in the opposite direction of getting away from the cartels, right?
Right. Go to the opposite side of the continent.
How is it with weed there?
Well, and that's the thing. It was the first country to federally legalize. And so my current plan is just to expand my CBD business here and rebuild from the raid, of course, which I'm doing. and then we'll see what happens, because like there's so much funding out there. Like there's private equity everywhere. Like when they say that they can't find funding, it's just like, what are you doing? Like this,
You're not asking enough.
right? Because there's so many people out there that have a ton of money, like especially here in the Silicon Valley. They got billions of dollars, and they're like,
just sitting there.
I don't know how to fucking invest this, dude. Like I'm from Yale.
It could at least have been the
app.
It could at least be a tax write-off, right?
Right. And
have you thought of working with a tech app at some point?
Right.
You just download the app and for weed delivery or weed dispensary or something like that.
Weed Maps.
Yeah.
Fucking $400 million buyout they got. I'm
They sold it out?
the software side, but yeah, they did. And
Would you? Would you ever consider like doing something like that for like weed growers?
yeah.
Like,
yeah.
not weed maps for the people, but for weed growers.
It'd be really cool to have an alternative to metric for inventory control. Like that's one thing that I would definitely be interested in. But that's a big that's a big venture to undertake. Those guys are really powerful. So
more powerful than the cartels.
Pretty much.
Pretty much. Yeah. You just
make sure you do all your consulting over Zoom.
Right.
They can't shoot you through the Zoom.
No.
My bunker.
You wouldn't see it. He gets a patent and then he disappears. He went to Uruguay. You said it on the podcast.
Yeah, I'm actually in Antarctica.
That's the scary thing about it. But that's what I'm saying. Like if you already know that shit, get it and give us some money, dude.
Absolutely.
For real.
A voice party tinctures. We already have a voice party drink at a bar,
man.
Might as well do some tinctures.
I mean, we've got the black and green, reference there. That's like perfect, right?
Beautiful.
No, dude, this was awesome, man. Like I learned a lot, and so moving to Uruguay.
Yeah, potentially. Yeah, and Oklahoma, Michigan look pretty good stateside. Montana looks pretty good.
What are other who has legally made it legally on the federal side, like that of, other than Uruguay?
I think Israel, and then
Israel.
Yeah, and then Germany. Actually, Germany is another place.
The Holy Land.
The Fatherland.
Yeah, no way.
The Fatherland.
Yeah,
we're really behind then.
Yeah,
even California. Like
I think psychedelics might actually become federally legal first before cannabis.
They're exploring the mental health benefits for that. Trauma, right? It's supposedly good for trauma. PTSD.
Yep.
Yeah, I know guys that said that microdosing helped them with their PTSD. So it's almost gone.
And depression and everything. So as long as they continue doing research, especially with veterans on the psychedelic side, not just for mushrooms, like I have good faith that it'll be.
Or trying to mentally control ghosts.
Right. That was filmed in my academy, by the way.
Oh, for real?
Yeah. Full circle.
What's that George Clooney movie, right?
MK Ultra boy.
Yep.
That's a whole other mindfuck of this whole psychedelic. Wow, you would have probably been.
Could have been.
I just heard about the whole like Charles Manson stuff about how he was an experiment of MK Ultra.
Yeah.
Like I wouldn't be surprised other stuff on that level that was.
It's a crazy world out there. Like there's so much more than meets the eye.
Yeah.
Like, California rec market. I wish that we had the time to go into it, but. It's laughable. It's just like
what do you mean?
The legal market doesn't really exist here.
Oh shit.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's why they can raid shops.
Yeah, because and the taxes, like that's the biggest thing, dude. They tax the fuck out of everybody.
Yeah, that's why it's so expensive.
And barriers to entry and all this shit.
Yeah. How much is an eighth? Like, I remember eighth. I used to get an eighth for $20, $25.
Yeah.
You go to a shop, it's like $47.99.
Yeah. 55 all the way up to like 75.
75 for a fucking eighth. I'm like,
dude.
what the fuck?
Especially down in LA.
Oh, I bet. I used to get an ounce for $100.
Yep.
Sell it for $175.
34% excise tax on retailers.
Fuck.
Yeah. Yep.
That's why they're making money, not because it's like, it's because you're fucking bleeding out the fucking the storefronts.
Yep. That's it.
So what's the solution?
Open it up more, really. Like make the barriers to entry lower and like actually really start to hammer the social equity side. You know, especially for people, especially of color, that have been incarcerated for nonviolent drug marijuana offenses. Like, fucking give them the front of the line.
Yes.
Uh-huh.
Yes. So not fair. You know what I'm saying? Like,
that's a whole fucking...
That's another episode.
That's one of the things I talked about with Freeway Ricky Ross.
Yeah.
Because he's now big in weed.
Yeah.
And when we had him on the show, we asked him, like, how do you feel about being in jail with people doing life for weed, and now you're free doing weed? It's like, it's a fucked up world. It's a fucked up thing. Like,
I smoked a joint in New Mexico. Perfectly legal last year.
Dang.
Yeah. Yep.
Federally legal there now, right? No, not federally, state legal.
Yeah, state legal.
Colorado was one of the first ones, right?
Colorado and Washington.
Dang. We're hella behind for the fucking California, dude.
Yep.
Like, I'm moving.
It's all about.
Yeah, that's what it comes down to. Those fucking Democrats, right, Phil?
I do hate me some Democrats. It's no secret.
So where can we, like, our listeners, if they want to, are you okay with them asking you questions?
Yeah, of course.
Because we got a lot of...
I love educating people.
Careful what you wish for now, because they might come at you now. No, but for
we tell every side.
A lot of our listeners are like, they're in the cannabis industry and might be independent. You know, that's from what I know. You know? So if you're open to
100%, 110%.
What's your IG handle so they can follow you?
It's Ephemeral Extracts is my work
extracts.
one. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. That's
all one word.
Ephemeral Extracts. And if there was such a thing to come out of from you, as far as like, you know, maybe an app or something.
Yeah.
How far along do you think that is? Maybe another year or so.
Within the next couple of years. Yeah.
Okay.
We'll see. Man.
I look forward to that, dude. That's a great idea. There's no education whatsoever on this whole subject. Not just on like how to grow a weed, but like,
manage the inventory, man.
Effects on the body and all that stuff.
All that shit.
Keep something like outside of
and then
the hands of the powers that be.
And then the farming aspect of it, because how do I know I've never smoked something that had harmful pesticides, you know?
Yeah. So anybody that is going to the dispensary can ask for the COA, the certificate of analysis, for any flower. They usually have a QR code on the bag these days.
Oh yeah, they do. Yeah.
So, and just fingers crossed that the lab was being honest. So I use SC Labs. Shout out SC Labs. Love you guys.
Honest Labs. Man, thank you again for coming by.
It's my pleasure.
I definitely want to do this again.
Let's do it, man.
Let's do it.
Season 3.
We'll hold you to it.
You got anything?
That's been the Voice Party.
We're out.
Beautiful.
Ooh, man. That was good.
Fuck yeah, dude.
That was good.